So I thought I would go through most of these questions. So if you haven't heard of the 13 Days of Samhain, it is a tag that you can participate in as well. That's Starlight. She recently changed her name from Starlight the Wild Witch to just the Wild Witch. She came up with this, and there are a bunch participating, but again, you can participate too. She has questions broken down by days, and every day you make a video based on a question. I think I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. There are some questions that I will make a separate video for, but I think I'm just going to answer questions like this is a Q&A instead. The first question is, what represents Samhain to you? Samhain represents ancestor connection to me. Samhain represents a leap into winter. Samhain represents amazing energy and just feeling alive and inspired. It's like the pinnacle of autumn. Next, tell us a cherished story or piece of wisdom from someone who has passed on. I want to tell you two. So the first one is my cat, Snick. St. Nicholas was his full name. He and his brother were born on Christmas, and they were both CH cats, so they were differently abled. And Snick is my soulmate, if there ever was one. He was very alpha, though. He used to walk around wobbling and falling over, and his balance, both of their balances were off. So it kind of looked like he was walking around on a rocking ship. His brother didn't have it so badly, so you couldn't often notice. What you would notice when he would get really intent on something and stare at it, and his head would start wobbling a little bit. So he was what's considered mild, and Snick was moderate, so he was a bit more severe than his brother Noland. Well, here's how it went. I volunteered at a humane society for a month, and there was a baby black kitten that was brought in. Her name was Jada, or is Jada, and she had a snapped back leg, and I fell in love with this little baby girl. I carried her around for like a week straight in the crook of my arm, and she was the sweetest little thing. And the director of the Humane Society was going to take her and another animal to the vet. And when she came back, she told me that the vet had said to euthanize Jada because the leg wasn't healing as it should. I, as a 19-year-old, did not have the wherewithal or the funds, and I was leaving the country in a couple months. And so I was shattered that I couldn't do anything. I didn't think I could. And so I let it happen. And I promised Jada on that day that I would help another kitten in need. I think I cried for 3 days straight. And it's probably one of the reasons why I go above and beyond for every animal that I have, and why I seek out the ones that need a little extra help often. So anyway, after I get back from school, because I was leaving the country for an exchange program, and after I got back from school, I started having dreams of I started having dreams of cats. For like 3 months straight, all I was dreaming about was cats, and I knew, okay, it's time to go find a cat. And so I looked online, and I saw this special needs little gray furball, and I loved the color charcoal gray, and he was a charcoal gray cat, and so I inquired about him. And then I went to drive an hour and a half away to visit, to meet him. And the first thing he did when he was put on the floor in front of me is he ran away from me, and he fell flat on his face because of his balance issues. And my heart cracked wide open, and I knew in that instant that he was my cat. And I said to the foster, I was like, is there anybody else interested? And he said, yeah, a couple of others. And I said, how do I get to the top of the list? And he said, take his brother too. So I said, okay. And a week later, he brought them to my apartment, and I adopted 2 cats with no experience with them. And Snick was determined to live on his terms. He would fall and get right back up again. He was demanding. My lap was his. And he let me know it. He would hiss at me if I tried to move him off my lap. He was passionate about life. And he showed me how to stand up and get back up again when things were hard. Because he just shook it off and kept going. And he passed away in 2020. His brother passed away in 2014. They both got cancer at the same time. Different kinds of cancer, but literally the exact same time. Snick made it through and Noland did not. I buried Noland in my yard. And then when I moved, I dug him up. Because I couldn't bear leaving him there. He at that point was basically, it was a little bit of fur and bones, and I waited till Snick passed and I acclimated them together. And I visit them not as frequently as I want to, I think, because there's still quite a bit of sadness that comes along with it. And it makes me really happy too, to be with them. And they even brought Jada to me. Snick brought Jada to me. And I was so shocked because I didn't expect that, but he brought her one day. And it was like, all of a sudden I knew in that moment that the 2 of them were connected. And that somehow she had sent him to me. I know that sounds a little crazy maybe, but it just was this overall sense of just, I knew that they knew each other. And when I knew Snick was dying and I had gone to my special place to connect with other animal companions that had passed over, there was the sense of like accomplishment, the sense of joy. They were getting ready for him to come. And I was happy for that. For seeing that and knowing that. But apparently he had like accomplished his mission, whatever his mission was, I don't know. But it was time for him to go. And anyway, I did not mean to get this emotional, but that is my one story of a passed on ancestor. I was going to tell you another, but I think I'm going to skip that one since this one ended up being so long. Alright, what playlist or soundscape accompanies your Samhain celebrations? I don't know. I don't have particular Samhain music. To create a holy space in my house, I usually use Gregorian chant music. So you might hear that around that time, but there isn't a specific playlist or anything that I use. So I wouldn't say nature. candle wicks, cracking, food being made, maybe some dogs barking in the background. Try to think what other noises happen in my house. That's probably a good estimation. Oh, the fire went off. What spirits do you work with during Samhain, and how do you connect with them? Yeah, so I work with my ancestors. I typically work with my passed over animal companions, though that isn't specific to Samhain. And usually on Samhain, I invite my grandparents as well. I actually did a video on this last year, and I recently posted it in the community tab. So I'll leave a link here so you can check that out as an explanation for this question. How do you connect with the natural world in autumn? Just by bringing nature in. I go collecting leaves, I find bits of dead things, like I just picked up some acorns and acorn tops because I don't have those in my area, but here in the mountain, they're like all over the place. So just whatever I find, but usually it's leaves. Yeah. What traditions or rituals do you practice during Samhain? I mean, I think I said that with the ancestor altar and connecting with them. Sometimes I'll use cards or I'll journal, both, as a channel to talk to them, or just have a conversation that happens in my head. And usually when I speak with them, it's not in words unless it's translated onto paper, but it's more of like the way they talk to me are through symbols and feelings. I'll carve a pumpkin often on Halloween. I can't do it before because pumpkins rot because it's not that cold here, and also the squirrels like to eat them, so I'll just carve a pumpkin on Samhain or the day before, and I guess I would say that would be part of a ritual that I do. What does Samhain mean to you on a personal level? It means connection with the spirit world. It means being in my highest order, like being at my pinnacle in terms of the whole year. It's the time that I am most potent. Have you ever had a paranormal encounter or experienced something unexplainable? Sure, lots. I mean, I have some stories. Maybe I'll just leave links or a playlist link or something for all my paranormal stories. I'll talk about something unexplained. I do remember one time when I was in college, I was driving and there was, what I saw in the sky was what looked like a shooting star falling like this, and then it made a check mark and it shot up like that. And I thought, what the hell did I just see? Like, I don't know anything that flies like that. And that was kind of mind-boggling. I also know that the military does tests and all that kind of stuff, so I don't know what it was. So that was unexplained. But I'm going to leave links to the other ghost stories that I have that are probably more appropriate for the season. Reflect on your harvest. What lessons, skills, or experiences have you reaped? This year, I think I've learned how to take more responsibility for myself and stepping up or into a more leadership type role in a way that I haven't before. So after my priestess schooling ended, I was like, well, what's more? A handful of us felt this way. And so I started a couple of projects that involve the work that we've done. And part of what's coming out of that is a coven of sorts. I don't really know what else to call it. It's a coven of priestesses. I think coven works for what we will be doing and how we're gathering together, because there are a bunch of us who want to put into practice the things that we've learned, come together, create a circuit, and then move out into the world in our own capacity with that. So it's an accountability group in a way, it's a practice group, it's a magic making group, it's a ritual and ceremony group, and we're formulating what that looks like right now. So that is a harvest that I'm really excited about moving into, because it's going to mean travel, which I crave so much. I crave a place to call my own that is not where I currently live. And part of that requires me traveling to find out more about different places and where I would resonate. So I don't know. I don't know what's next. What hopes and aspirations will you set for the new year that begins at Samhain? This next year, it's probably just going to be taking more action on creating this coven, and also I'm going on a pilgrimage next year. It was supposed to happen this fall, but because of my mom's health, I had to postpone it. So there's a lot of sitting in the unknown and waiting to see what comes of it. What I do see is a deeper connection to my grandmother, a deeper connection to the feminine she, great mother, and how that manifests in the world. With that connection, I have yet to know. So those are my questions. I mean, those are my answers to the questions.